Welcome back to NT Coins World, your trusted source for everything numismatics. Whether you're a new collector or a seasoned expert, this is the place where every coin has a story to tell. In today's deep dive episode, we're going to explore two of the most talked about Washington quarter dollar coins, the 1969D and the 1983P. Both of these quarters may seem common at first glance, but their historical significance, mintage stories, era varieties, and current market interest make them standout pieces in any collection, especially in fine condition. Let's jump right into the first coin. The 1969D Washington quarter is an essential piece in the lineage of American coinage. Introduced during a period of national transition, the quarter from this year, and mint carries more than just monetary value. It's a snapshot of the socio-economic atmosphere of late 1960s America. The year 1969 was a defining moment in American history. The height of the Vietnam War, the civil rights movement still resonating through society, and the moon landing marking a leap in technological advancement. It was also a period of changes in U.S. coinage following the Coinage Act of 1965, which removed silver from dimes and quarters. By 1969, the Washington quarter had fully transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition, signaling the end of the Silver Age in American circulating coins. This shift was not only due to rising silver prices, but also an attempt to prevent hoarding. The U.S. Mint, in response to massive coin shortages in the early 1960s, ramped up production levels at all three mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Denver Mint produced the 1969D quarter in substantial numbers. The 1969D quarter features the classic Washington quarter design, first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse displays a left-facing profile of George Washington with the inscriptions "Liberty" above his head, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date 1969 centered at the bottom. The mint mark D for Denver appears just to the right of the ribbon in Washington's hair. The reverse depicts a bold, heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows and olive branches beneath it, symbolizing strength and peace. The inscriptions "United States of America" and "A Pluribus Unum" appear above, while "quarter dollar" rests at the bottom. The coin has a reeded edge and is composed of a copper-nickel clad layer over a copper core weighing 5.67 grams with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. The Denver Mint produced an estimated 114,372,000 Washington quarters in 1969, a relatively high number. These coins were widely distributed across the western and central United States. However, high mintage doesn't always translate to high survival in collectible condition, especially for fine or better grades due to circulation wear. In fine condition, a 1969D quarter generally holds modest market value, typically between $1 and $5 depending on eye appeal and surface quality. However, higher grades, especially in uncirculated, MS65 or better, can command prices in the 20 to 100 plus range, especially with strong luster and full strikes. One of the reasons collectors are drawn to this coin is not necessarily for its face value, but for its potential in mint eras and its status as a post-silver-clad transition piece. Several interesting era types have surfaced for the 1969D quarter off-center strikes quarters, struck partially off the plancher, are quite desirable, with examples ranging from 5% to 20% off-center, fetching between $50 and $250 depending on how dramatic the era is. Clipped planchers. These minting defects occur when the metal strip from which blanks are punched is misaligned. These can add $30 to $100 or more in value depending on size and shape. Double die obverse DDO. Although not as prominent as the 1969 S-cent DDO, some minor doubling on the date and lettering has been observed in 1969 D quarters, adding potential premium interest. Struck through errors. These occur when debris or foreign material interferes with the striking process, often leaving interesting textures or voids. These are less common but can sell from $25 to over $100 depending on severity. The 1969 D Washington quarter doesn't always make headlines, but it's a staple in most 20th century US coin collections. It represents the culmination of the post-silver era and the US Mint's full-scale switch to clad coinage. Collectors often seek out this coin for typesets, clad era sets, or to explore minor era varieties. Its availability in circulation has declined over the decades, making it a bit more difficult to find in decent condition compared to newer issues. Coin roll hunters occasionally find them, but typically in worn state. When found in fine condition, this coin carries both historical and educational value, especially when used to teach beginners about mint marks, errors, and the evolution of US currency. The 1983 P Washington quarter is a fascinating issue from a numismatic perspective, largely due to its unique placement in US minting history and the production quirks of the early 1980s. 1983 was a challenging year for American coinage. Just 2 years earlier, in 1981, the US Mint had ceased the production of coins for circulation in certain denominations for collectors. And by 1982 and 1983, the Mint made a decision that significantly impacted collectors. They did not produce uncirculated mint sets. This decision was driven by budgetary constraints and changes in production focus. As a result, the 1983 P quarter, minted in Philadelphia, was never preserved in mint sets and was only available via circulation. This means nearly every surviving example went through the rough hands of commerce, vending machines, and pocket change. As such, finding a 1983 P Washington quarter in fine condition or better is surprisingly difficult and highly sought after. The 1983 P quarter maintains the original John Flanagan design, which had remained virtually unchanged since 1932. The obverse includes the portrait of George Washington, Liberty above, In God We Trust to the left, and the year 1983 at the bottom. The P mint mark, denoting the Philadelphia Mint, is located to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. On the reverse, the eagle sits majestically above a bundle of arrows, flanked by olive branches, symbolizing a balance between power and peace. United States of America and E pluribus unum curve above, and quarter dollar is inscribed below. The coin is made of the same clad composition, copper nickel over a copper core, with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and weight of 5.67 grams. In total, the Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 673,535,000 quarters in 1983, a large number at face value. But again, because of the lack of mint sets and collector-oriented packaging, nearly all of these coins were put directly into circulation. This makes high-grade examples exceedingly scarce. Despite the high mintage, demand for 1983 P quarters in nice condition is very strong. In fine condition, prices typically range from $2 to $10 depending on wear and appearance. The real value, however, comes from higher-grade examples. A coin in MS65 or higher can sell for $200 to $1,000, with some full strike or full steps examples fetching even more. The absence of mint sets makes the 1983 P quarter a collector's puzzle, common yet elusive. The 1983 P is known for a few notable errors that significantly increase its value: double die, reverse, DDR. One of the most famous varieties for this coin, the DDR displays noticeable doubling in the words "E pluribus unum." It can bring in $75 to $250 depending on clarity and grade. Struck on wrong plancher. There are rare cases of 1983 P quarters being struck on 5-cent or 10-cent planchers. These wrong plancher errors can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Clipped planchers and off-center errors. Fairly rare for this date, but not unheard of. A dramatic off-center strike or large clip can boost the coin's value significantly. Die breaks and cuds. The early 1980s was a period of overused dies at the mint, resulting in cracks, die breaks, and cuds. These can add collector premiums, especially for dramatic examples. Interest in the 1983 P Washington quarter has remained high over the years, especially among era collectors, condition rarity hunters, and enthusiasts building full modern quarter sets. Its lack of a mint set release creates an interesting anomaly in modern coin history. Unlike most coins of the era, the 1983 P quarter was not preserved in pristine condition by the mint, which makes high-grade examples highly collectible. Collectors often seek out this date to complete a 1980s clad quarter set or to pursue one of the known DDR varieties. Coin roll hunters occasionally find examples, but they are typically well worn. Finding one in fine condition already sets it apart from the majority. Additionally, the 1983 P quarter has been gaining attention in online auctions and dealer listings, with prices steadily increasing year after year, making it both a nostalgic find and a strong potential investment for those focusing on clad-era coinage. That wraps up our deep dive into two of the most fascinating Washington quarter dollar coins, the 1969D and the 1983P, both in fine condition. These coins might still appear in circulation, but understanding their background, minting stories, era varieties, and collector value elevates them from pocket change to prized possessions. If you enjoyed this episode of NT Coins World, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell for more insights into coins that define our history. Whether you're coin roll hunting or building a long-term collection, keep your eyes open. You never know when a simple quarter might be worth far more than 25 cents.